Today I'm clearing out what's left of my tomato plants, and that means that we've got the results for this year's plant food comparison experiment. So for those of you who aren't familiar, right at the beginning of my channel, in my very first video, I did a guide on how to feed tomato plants, and as part of that video, I started a bit of an experiment where I was comparing tomato food, all-purpose plant food and water. I put 3 plants in a grow bag, and I said for like the whole year, I was going to feed them just independently on each type of food. And I've done a couple of different updates all through the year, showing you how they've been getting on, and today I'm finally going to be taking all the tomatoes that are left on them because it's started to get pretty cold now and they're not going to ripen, so I'm going to take off what's left. I'm going to weigh those, and then we can finally see what the results are and see which one's done the best. So here we are in the other greenhouse now, and if you remember, we've got plant 1, which was getting the tomato food, plant 2 in the middle, which is getting just the plain water, and then plant 3 on the end, which was getting the Miracle Grow all-purpose plant food. And as the year's gone on, they've sort of been getting tomatoes gradually going up the stem, and I've cut a lot of these leaves back now. They're pretty much just stems up to about maybe 3 feet. Just because they start showing disease and things, so I've just been cutting them off as we go along, and then right up here at the top we've got what is left of the tomatoes, and we're still getting some quite nice ones on here. I mean, that one's quite nice. It's starting to yellow slightly, so it's not too far from ripening, but as I say, I mean, it's like 12 degrees in here today, so it's definitely not warm enough to be ripening tomatoes, and it's not stopped raining out here for the last week. So yeah, it's definitely time for these to come down, and I'll be taking these home and ripening them there. And what I'll be doing is I'll be taking these tomatoes off and just working out which plants they're from. I mean, looking at this, let's have a look. Plant 1, see if I can separate these. I haven't actually been over this week because it's been raining so much. Yeah, so we've got 1 left on there, a couple of little ones, but they're not going to come to anything, so I'm not going to count them. Plant 2. Yeah, this has still got a couple of flowers coming at the top, but far too late for any of that. Let's have a look. Anything around here? No, doesn't really look like there's a great deal on there for plant 2. Just, oh yeah, there we go, we've got that small one there. Again, I think that's probably too small to actually come to anything once it ripens. And then plant 3, at least I think these are on plant, yeah, these are on plant 3. So plant 3 has got like, what, 4, 5, maybe 6 tomatoes on there. Yeah, that's loads better. But I don't know what effect that's going to have on the results, but it's clear to see there that plant 3 is definitely still making the most tomatoes later on. So let's get all these taken off, get them into the other greenhouse, get them weighed, and we'll see which one's the winner. So let's have a look here. I'll just trim these back a bit just to make things a bit easier. Yeah, this is plant 1. There we go. Yeah, not too bad. Let's just get the rest. And there's those ones, you know what? I'll just keep them anyway. We'll weigh them. Because the tomatoes, aren't they? So yeah, let's weigh them. I'll keep them, try and ripen them, see what happens. Just going to trim all these away just to make it a bit easier, and we can work out which plant which ones are from. Yeah, I think that's it. That's plant 1 done. So plant 2, like I said, I don't even know if we had anything on it. Oh, here we go. Let's have a look. Alright, there we go, it's just that one. It's starting to fall over now because I've took the support away. So that is the only one that I've got from plant 2. Right, here we go, and Then we've got the ones on plant 3. There's quite a few more on this one. That's quite a nice one. That one's a bit scaly and a bit dry. There we go. That's still a nice one. There we go. Look at that one. That's probably the nicest one, actually. There we go. Yeah, really nice, that one. And that's it. So let's go and get these weighed and see what the results are. So here we go. I've got some digital scales. Let's just get those set up. There we go. So first, tomato plant 1, 32.36. Tomato plant 2, 10.59. And then finally we've got tomato plant 3. We've got quite a few on this one, so I might have to do 2 separate ones. See if we can balance these on here. Put these 3 big ones on first. 153.13 or 12. Oh. There we go, 96.68. And that's it. So let's get straight into the results, and I'm just going to do them in order. So let's start with plant 1, which was getting the tomato food. And this one got 748 grams of tomatoes, and that is all the way through the season. So like I say, I've been taking these home every time, sticking them on the scales and keeping the weight in the spreadsheet so I can tally them up at the end and see which one's done the best. So yeah, tomato food, 748 grams, and let's compare that to the other ones. And then next we've got plant 2, which was just getting the plain water. And when we started this experiment, I wasn't sure if that one in the middle was going to spread its roots out into the other 1 and 3 and start getting nutrition from the plant food that I was giving to those ones, and maybe even get the best of both from both plant foods. And looking at the results, I got 408 grams of tomatoes from that plant, which isn't that much at all compared to the ones on the tomato food. And they usually say on the bottle something like 50% more tomatoes with the plant food. And yeah, I actually near enough got double the amount of tomatoes on the plant that I was giving tomato food. So yeah, that just goes to show that that food does double the amount of tomatoes that you're likely to get. And then finally, I've got plant 3, which was getting the Miracle Grow all-purpose liquid plant food. And this plant grew 1,014 grams of tomatoes, which is over a kilogram. It's nearly double the amount that the plant with the tomato food grew, and it's nearly triple the amount that the plant with the plain water grew. So I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting the tomato food to win, and this being a high nitrogen feed, I was expecting this to produce more foliage on the plant, more leaves, and maybe less tomatoes, but that's not been the case, and it's done really, really well. So I don't know, maybe if this is a one-off, or yeah, this did the best. And there we go, that's it. So these plants are done for this year. Only one thing left to do. And it's done. And all I'm going to do now with these grow bags is open them up. I'm going to be tipping all this compost into my new raised beds that I'm going to be using for next year. They're going to take some filling. They're pretty big, so I'm going to be using all of my grow bags in them. Maybe recharge the compost a bit, put a bit more nutrition in it with some fertiliser and stuff like that, ready for next year. Yeah, I can't believe that these are done and finished with already. It's gone so quick. Yeah, on to next year. And while these are from my first video when I started the channel, just to remember them, I'm going to stick them up here at the back of the greenhouse. There we go. So even though the tomato plants are finished and we've got the results of this experiment, I am going to be doing this again next year, only bigger and better. So I'm going to be getting an individual pot for each plant, rather than using the grow bags where they can mix between each other, just to keep them isolated. And we're going to be having a baseline one again for water. I'll be using the tomato food again and the all-purpose plant food, and we're going to see how they stack up against as many different types and brands of fertiliser and plant food that I can get my hands on. So I'm going to be making my own. I'm going to look over the internet, see if there's any like hacks or home brews and things that you can make. We're going to test them, and we're also going to, like I said, I'm going to see if I can get like a load of different brands and types of plant foods and maybe other products as well that say that they help your plants grow, and we'll check all of them. So this time next year, we should have an absolute ton of results. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, just so that when we do come to doing that next year, you don't miss out and you can catch it right from the beginning. I'll be starting maybe February or March. I'll be growing all the plants from seed just so that we can grow an absolute ton of them. Make sure you let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this and if you've enjoyed watching these plants grow from the beginning and seeing all the updates right through. And I was planning on doing a green manure video this week, but it hasn't stopped raining for like a week straight, and the bed I was going to do it in is completely flooded, so that's definitely not happening. Hopefully maybe it'll drain out by next week and I'll be able to do it for then before it gets too late. But there's still plenty of other stuff to be getting on with, so I'll see you next time.